Hi, welcome to Pink Lion Podcast. I'm your host, Cindy, and we're joined today by our co host, Naomi. And today we'd like to talk about spirit connection and how and why our loved ones connect with us. As mediums, we get a lot of questions about how we connect with spirit or what do we feel, what do we see, how the subtleties of the communication work. Um, and Naomi, do you get this a lot with your clients too? Because I know that I do.
I do. Definitely. It seems to them that there's a curiosity and this wonder about how do you guys do this, right? Um,
Hmm.
and not realizing that it's already happening for them, just maybe in a different way. Maybe they haven't trained for it, but they're getting messages from their loved ones in different ways. You know, um, like we were saying before when we were talking, often during readings, the sitter will say, "Hey, can you tell my mom this? Can you tell my dad that?" And it's like, well, they can hear you. They're here because of you. You're the connection. You're the battery. Um,
Yep.
and it's something that it's so important for them to know that their loved one isn't out there somewhere. They're connected to them. We hear them from within. Um, so I think that's a really every time someone says that, I'm like, no, 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 they can hear you. They're communicating with you. And I think the subtleties are really, like you said, really important to mention too, because it's not a something that just slaps you in the face. It's something that is so easy to dismiss those messages. Um, so I think that's something important to remember too, like maybe the song that comes on the radio, smelling someone's perfume or thinking about something and be like, my mom would say that. It's like, yeah, they're having that dialogue. So I think that's something that I love sitters to know is that you are communicating with them. Maybe you're looking a little too hard. Does that make, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I also think that people aren't paying attention to the subtleties. There's the nudges or the images or the things that come in through your hearing maybe and they're in your voice or theirs. Like people don't pay attention to it or they brush it off because they think that they're making it up or they're going crazy or whatever. I mean, when I first heard my father-in-law, I heard it in his voice in my own head. And so I thought I questioned it a lot, like, what? What is going on, And so, but when I felt him, it was a real experience for me. And so I had never felt that way before. And so oftentimes they might be missing the subtle, like, ways that spirit communicates. Um, and I do get that a lot. Can you tell them at like every session? Can you tell them this? I'm like, you can tell them, they can hear you. We work through our thoughts, so, like, you just have to think it, and they'll maybe answer. I mean, oftentimes, I'll say to somebody, "Is there something a question you wanna ask?" And, like, before they even get to ask the question, I'm already getting the answer in my head. I don't jump tell them the answer, but I wait for them to ask because, I don't know, politeness or something, but I'll get the answer to the question before it's even asked. So, how
Yeah,
about you? Do you experience that too?
I do. And it's interesting because as soon as they say, well, can you tell them this? I get like, it's not an eye roll, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of like like their mom will be like, she's talking to me all the time. I'm always listening. It's just, it's funny. They're ready to go, like they're ready to communicate. Um, and it's sometimes it does make my heart ache a little bit. People don't realize. I mean, most people forget how connected they are to their loved ones, even though they're not here physically. But I think that's something that not everybody realizes, or that not everybody has that that knowledge or that experience. And
Mhm.
it's funny because getting started with this work, as mediums, we have to really connect to our psychic senses and trust our psychic senses and trust the messages that come in through that psychic hearing and seeing and inner knowing and stuff like that. So, one of the biggest things with spirit communication, the biggest thing is trust, and that's so difficult. So for someone
Trust.
that doesn't train in this stuff, it's so hard to trust, psychic senses. What do you mean psychic senses, right? To trust something that maybe they're not really aware of that's so powerful within them. Because we're all psychic beings, it's all about
Mhm.
developing skills and tools. Um, and especially I've noticed this time of year, and I don't know about things happening near you, but in my area, there's been a lot of loss. I've noticed um, a lot of loss, a lot of people passing, and other unfortunate events. And I'm witnessing a lot of people in grief, and I've noticed too that when someone passes, sometimes their family members are grasping for something, right? They want some kind of essence of them, or they're looking so hard that they don't realize that person is still with them, that spirit. I'll often get people that say, I just want to have a dream with them and I want a visitation. Why am I not getting anything? And
Right.
it's because they have an expectation of what it should be, an expectation of here's what I should see, here's what I should dream, when it's about allowing to, because a lot of the times the loved ones are there and they are communicating, but grief can be such a powerful, heavy emotion that sometimes it, blankets things. Um, but like when it comes to grief too, our loved ones are there helping to heal us. Like they're very ingrained during that time. Um, but it's sometimes going to be hard to feel that.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, I feel like people they want it so bad or they want to hear their loved ones so badly that they restrict the flow of energy. It's
Yeah.
almost like they're trying to control the outcome or they're trying to control the reading. And I had this recently where I was reading somebody and she and I couldn't read her well because everything that I was saying, she was giving me no's on. But here's the truth. The truth is she was like, "Well, no, you were accurate. It's just." Because I rescheduled her to the next day because I was like, "This obviously there's something going on. Maybe it's me,
Yeah.
maybe it's you, combination of us, but let's try again tomorrow and try and be more open to whatever comes through because we're not in control here. Spirit is, and I can only tell you what I'm getting, but here's the thing, she wanted something so bad that she was unwilling to see other things, or she didn't remember specifically while she was sitting with me, so of course, I could never get into the flow of the power because it was no, 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 but then the next day she's validating the things that I was seeing.
Yeah.
So, the day before. So I was like, "Shoot," it's not anyway, she and I are talking on the side. She needed some other guidance, but like that's the thing is when people are trying to control or restrict it, it doesn't allow the information to flow properly to give you what you need versus what you want. Spirit is always going to give you what you need
Yeah.
versus what you want.
Right.
And so it's like, that is what I've learned big time. And not to cut you off and talk to you about this, but I literally just left somebody who I just met for the first time. We were having breakfast together and like she's going through her own experiences with stuff now, right? And I met her through a social media app, but like I offered to send her the book. Like, let me gift this to you. And I found out that she lived in 2 towns next 2 cities away from me. So I was like it was like a 15-minute drive to, like, go meet
Yeah.
her, which was odd, right? And so we're meeting up and we're talking, and of course, her husband's coming through at breakfast, and I had talked to her right at the beginning, was like, "Listen, if your husband is this powerful, like, I just want you to know that something could I don't even have my door open, but he could still come through, and so is it okay if I read you if that happens organically?" And she was like, "Yes, please."
Yeah.
So, of course it did, and then, like, the flow was perfectly fine, but there was one piece of information she didn't understand. Well, in that situation, I'm going to trust spirit. Now, I
Yeah,
may not totally understand what it is because she isn't really understanding it either, but it's going to hit her later because I don't trust her mind as a human. I trust spirit giving it to me.
right.
Do you experience that too? Because those things kind of can happen with the flow, with how things kind of work. I mean,
100%. And
runs rampant for all of us, right? Where the sitter doesn't remember or something. And so I
it
don't know.
does.
What is
It's
it's been
absolutely. And part of it too with that is when we get the no's or the person not remembering, it's we have to completely trust spirit. Because sometimes that piece can create some doubt. It's like, well, they're saying no, am I doing it right? It's like, you know what? I'm gonna trust spirit. I'm just gonna get the information. It'll click
yeah,
later. And I've had people if I've had like my gallery readings, if someone comes back or I see them later on, that person that you were talking about, yes, that was my uncle. He's my great uncle. He was a lawyer, da 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 da. And I had this one person that was doing an event. She came in to say hi, and she's like, when you said that I had like this like long lost cousin who was someone who like to party and was really great friends with my mom, like all this stuff. And she's like, we found out who it was. It's just like it fit all the parameters. I'm like, it shows that some things are not meant to stick right away and not going to, and that just has to be the way that it is. Some things are meant to click later. Um, and a lot of this doesn't always have a timeline, you know,
right,
but
right.
it is about trusting spirit and just say the weird thing, right? Some things that you have to say, it's like, this doesn't make any sense. It's so weird, but you know what? I'm gonna say the weird thing. And usually for that person, they're like, oh my gosh, I understand. Um, but yeah, that trust piece is important. Yeah.
What's so funny? I was doing this live the other day and I think it was over the weekend. They're all kind of blending together right now, so it's hard for me to remember everything. But I had this woman in the live and nobody's been able to connect to her mother. Well, I'm doing spirit led. So I'm doing complimentary spirit led for the person's highest and greatest good. Because I always feel like it's more impactful for people when they're not paying for something, then they can't accuse you of being a charlatan or whatever, So I'm trying to do the ethical thing and be pure about it. Anyway, I'm sort of seeing this in the chat, but not paying attention. And she's not putting anything in the chat that I would know. A couple of readings later, I get this circus. I understand I'm going to be talking about a circus. I understand that I start seeing these circus cookies with a little string over the box from the 70s and 80s, that whole circus cookie
Yeah.
thing. This little girl's hand wrapped around it, and I'm going, no, not another kid, like not another one today, because there was a few. Um, that was on the inside of me. I wasn't expressing that on the outside, but feeling, right? I'm like, "Oh, shoot, just go with it, just surrender. Maybe it's not the child we're talking about." But I'm just explaining everything that I'm feeling. I'm feeling like I love my cookies. I'm happily walking down the Oh, I'm holding my mother's hand. "Oh, mom's the communicator. Mom's on the other side. You must be the daughter she's
That's
talking
awesome.
about." Then I'm feeling like, "Oh, I used to tell this story about the circus cookies or the circus thing all the time, and it used to drive you crazy as you got older because I would repeat this story over and over again, but boy, wouldn't you like to hear that story come out of my mouth right
Mm,
about now, the
yeah,
regrets of maybe appreciating people telling these stories over and over again, and now can't hear them, so you miss them.
right.
Then I realized I see an elephant and a tiger and then this tent. But when I saw the elephant back into a pole, the tent falls, and I was like, there's no way that happened. Well, sure enough, that's actually what the elephant and the tent were all about. And then she's validating that her mom then got her a stuffed tiger because of this whole
Oh my
elephant
gosh.
knocking the tent down thing. Right? But I didn't say it. So of course I'm not going to say this on my live, like, oh my God, I did see that, type of thing. But I'm just like in my own mind going, holy moly, that just tells me any little blip I get, I need to like say. I just need to say it. because is matter my brain tried to talk me out of that. It's like
Yeah.
this trick. But like spirits really trying to make that initial communication, and I just need to trust more or something. So not that I didn't, but I just kind of talked myself out of it in that
Yeah.
split second. Does that happen to you?
It does.
I'm like, what
When
is
we're
going on? I
when
don't
we're
even know why we're
connecting with
talking about
it's funny though, because we connect with spirit, right? But we still have that logical brain that's like, well, I want to make sense of
that.
this. And it goes in and
Hmm.
muddies everything up. And that's part of
That's
mediumship
right.
is taking
Yeah.
that logical part of the brain and being like, nah, gotta step to the side, bro. So it's
Yeah.
it's we
Step
want to
to the
make sense
side.
of something. Like we want to be like, okay, how do we make this make sense? But we're not supposed to make it make sense. We're supposed to allow, and that piece is, I feel like, one of the hardest is that allowing, just letting it flow, not trying to make sense of it, not trying to control it, because we're human. That's the human experience. It's what we do. So I think yeah, that's really funny. And that my brain definitely, especially something that doesn't seem to be clicking or something is
Yeah.
odd, my brain's like, let me figure this out. I was like, nope, it's not for me to fill in the blanks. It's for me to be just told,
I've got to
surrendering
get better.
to that. It, I think that's just, I know mediums that have been doing this for 30 years that still, um, struggle with that. We're just human because in our regular, normal lives, that's what we do. We have to make logical sense of things. So, yeah,
I mean, we're divine beings having these human experiences. So when I say like that's just a human trait, like I'm gonna forgive myself. But I mean, I'll still try to make it. I just feel like the reading was great in its own thing and how I said whatever I
yeah,
said. But like, and this was a public, like on a live. So and I posted it to my page. So I'm not like
yeah,
divulging anything that's already out there. But the point is that it was still great in the way I delivered it. It's just it could have been not much more better for the particular sitter, who herself was a medium, by the way.
well, that's
So
great.
yeah, and I didn't know that when I read her or pulled the spirit, did the spirit led reading right then and there. I didn't know that about her until the end. But when she was giving me all the feedback and stuff. So it was fine. It's not that. It's just again, we're talking about trust. We're talking about allowing,
Yeah,
surrendering the client, the sitter, being able to allow that flow, knowing that they're connecting right to their loved one. They have to be able to know that whatever their thoughts are, their relative on the other side, their whomever it is, can hear them very easily. But
yeah.
uh, whatever. I don't even know where I'm going with that. Reel me in today. You have to reel me in. It's just been kind of an amazing day already, so I'm a little bit amped.
Yeah,
I just a really great person, and I just loved her, and so I'm still kinda amped up about that. That's the thing. I meet so many people nowadays, and I just feel like our work is so very valuable and important to people, and you're right. They want these connections. They're trying to pull on these pieces. They're trying to pull on these threads. They're trying to make connections from the signs that they connect with their loved ones or their loved ones are leaving them, but then they throw out information that they're getting. They
right.
don't piece it all to understand that these subtle things that they are picking up on should be paid attention to rather than thrown away in their mind.
Yeah,
um
absolutely. I had,
what do you, I was going to just ask you a question. Did you want to
yeah, please.
elaborate on that a little bit? I was
No,
going
go
to
ahead.
ask you about, do you hear people who talk about this this whole thing is off the rails already, so whatever, right?
Sure, let's do it. Let's go for it.
Do you get people who have a hard time meditating? Do they tell you this?
They do. Now, it's interesting because Medi a lot of people think that they're bad at meditation. Like, "Oh, man, I suck at
Yeah.
meditation." It's like, "Well, why would you say that?"
Right.
"Because my mind keeps going everywhere." And I'm like, "Yeah,
Right.
that's how it's supposed to be." The whole practice of meditation is, yep, you get the random thought, you recognize it, put it to the side, and come back to center. The whole thing is you're gonna have thoughts. The practice is coming back to center. So I'm like, you're not bad at it. You're doing the work, but people think they should have this like completely still mind, which as you do more and more meditation, that becomes more and more of what happens. But it's it meditation is it's the practice of it. So yeah, I have people that say they have a hard time meditating. Yeah.
Because here's the thing, since we all can do this, right? And we're trying to encourage people to look within themselves, to trust what they get, to trust themselves and their own intuition a lot more. Part of that is meditating or going into this quiet, relaxing, safe, visualized place. And so visualization, in my mind, is probably one of the easiest ways to start meditating, to give your mind that ability and space to just sort of relax. Um, so allowing them to just kind of breathe and visualize like white light coming into their body, floating up into the air and feeling that weightlessness, and then either seeing a door or going somewhere else, and then allowing their consciousness, their higher self to just kind of take over and allow it to just lead them to where they need to go. And then that way they can kind of see things and experience things, but it's them, not me doing it. It's them. Right. And that gives them that 3 to 5 minutes to just sort of turn off their to do list, turn off their life, turn off their stress, turn off whatever. Do you do any sort of thing like that with your clients?
So I haven't personally, but I've been in classes and trainings where people do that. And I've done my own guided meditations. When I teach classes, I usually do a guided meditation. But I haven't done it for my readings, but that's a great idea because it lets the person just let go and be able to just be. Because I think that piece is important that we don't have enough stillness, you know? We don't have enough
Maybe help
stillness.
that restriction too, that flow through the chakras, themselves and us, and allowing whatever to come in versus them having that expectation,
Yeah.
right? And that restriction. So maybe, I don't know, maybe it might be something to think about or experiment with, you know?
I think that's a great idea to have a couple minutes of letting the person just be. We're leading the experience and they get to just allow and kind of just be still within themselves and experience. Because part of this, I think that's a great point, Cindy. That way they don't have an expectation. They're there to experience.
Yeah.
You got the good ideas.
I have good ideas. It's just something about it allows like the person to tap into their own power, right? And then
Yeah.
it invites the soul that wants to be the communicator to come through maybe a little bit easier because they're not so blocked or not so tight. They're just more relaxed. I Because what if they were like, I always think, what if they were just sitting in traffic like me? I was just coming in trying to do this pod and everything, and I'm like racing, going to the bathroom, throwing on the lights, trying to log
Yeah.
in really quick. So, they could be kind of amped up, but this allows them to just get into a better place, and then it
Yeah.
maybe we have more success for them, for spirit to communicate. What I don't know. I'm just babbling, but
No, no, I think
perhaps
that's fantastic because
better.
we do that before we start. We go into
That's right.
meditative state before we start doing mediumship, and it allows us to just be. It allows
Right.
the frustrations of the day to go to the wayside so we can do this work. So I think that's actually fantastic for the sitter to have that opportunity as well. Yeah,
Yeah, for both parties to be in this space, yeah, to
100%.
allow. Yeah, maybe, I don't know, we can try it.
I
Who
think that's
knows?
fantastic. Yeah. I always love experimenting.
Spitballing out here, because that's how I'm been kinda doing my lives too, where it's like, I'm teaching them how to, tap into their intuition a little bit more by having them feel the colors that I'm presenting to them and see if they
Yeah.
get what I'm choosing. Read me. Don't miss this. I mean, you could see the colors and kind of which one you're pulled toward, but read me, like read my energy so that you can feel the color, so you can see the color or hear the color or something, you know? And so then I'm like throwing the color out there to them. A lot of them are picking them up correctly. And then some of them, I don't know if they're distracted or they're not totally pulled into it. They're, guessing or second guessing themselves. But anyway, it's all about practice anyway. So I keep doing that and I do the visualization before and after. So it's been helpful. I think it's been helpful, especially with TikTok, because everything is like scroll, 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 scroll. And I'm like, who's coming in? Like this soul
Exactly.
is here. And it just becomes like I'm in the middle of the busiest intersection in the world. What is happening right now?
Right, exactly. And that I love that you're giving people tools. People need guidance. They just want to know, how do I start? What do I do? And there's just so many books out there, which I love and is amazing. But sometimes someone's saying, "Hey, try this," it gives them the direction. So I think that's really awesome. Yeah,
The thing is what could work for one person doesn't work for another. Nothing is cookie cutter. So here's what I'm found for myself. You have your own experiences. You have things too. Like, I don't know, whatever works. Like, I see stuff behind my eyelids. Like, not everybody does. So, like, I don't know. I'm a seer. So, not everybody's a seer. And it's just you have to work these muscles to like kind of hone in on them. Like, I suppose. I don't
yeah, and
know.
I think muscles is you know, it's a great word. I feel like that muscle memory because we were all able to do this pretty flawlessly before when we were young, before we were either told that it's not real or our parents got upset, before we felt that it was bad. It's about reawakening. It's not, it's yes, we're learning, but it's about reawakening and trusting ourselves and reacclimating to this work. So, it's an awakening, definitely, definitely.
Into remembrance. Hey, did I ever ask you this? I'm not even sure. What is a déjà vu? I have not been able to get the correct answer on that. Do you know what that
So
is?
yeah, so there's a couple different like theories on deja vu. So one of the biggest theories on deja vu is that we've already had the experience. It's already happened. So say I'm getting deja vu about this podcast. It means that it's already taken place, maybe in a different reality, a different timeline, but either way, this action has already taken place because why it feels so familiar is, I'd say, the main theory on deja.
Okay. So I've also heard that when you agree to come back down in this life, you've seen it. Like you've seen this particular scene play out before. So your soul is remembering it. So I've heard that too. I wasn't sure, but your explanation brought up something else in me that made me wonder. I wonder if we replay timelines. For example, does our soul come down to redo this life again in a different way? I don't know. At this particular time. I don't
That's
know because how does it work? Like, I don't know the answer to that. um, but it'll be interesting because that is one of the questions I have when I cross. Is if you cross
all
before answer the question and send it back down to me. If I cross before you, I'll do the same.
right. Pinky swear. That sounds good. But
Where here's the answer to the deja vu question.
yeah, exactly. I mean,
I
even
just
like physics says there's unlimited timelines, there's unlimited, you know, parallel universes. So who
non-linear.
knows what we experience when we come back, when we relearn? Maybe we are doing a lot of this again. Maybe you remember those choose your own adventure books? You remember those
Mhm,
when we were
mhm,
kids, where you get to a certain
mhm.
chapter and it'll ask you what you want to do? Maybe it's in some very simplistic way, or I'm oversimplifying it. That's kind of what it is. We get to a certain point, a certain road, and we get to make a choice. And maybe this choice is different than what we did before, and it goes a different way. We're here for the learning, so who knows how many times we've already done this podcast? Who knows, where the timelines are? So, and also, time isn't linear. You know, everything's happening at once. So who knows? It's all crazy and wacky and Some of it is above my pay grade, but I'd love to know all
Totally
about it,
above
or at
my
least
pay
at least
grade.
think I do. Yeah.
I know, and I wanna be honest with the listeners because I'm like, I don't have all the answers. I'm not even gonna pretend that I do. But here's what I do know. Here is the experience that I've had. You're doing the same. Here's the experience that I've had to be able to help people who are at the starting or beginning stages, just sort of bridge some of those questions or answers to their questions, maybe, and help them kind of connect these pieces. Because, I mean, there are people who have been doing this a lot longer than you and I have, and they may have more answers, but I don't think anyone really knows every single thing either.
But no,
So
I
be
totally
wary
agree with
about
that.
where you get, and if you are a listener, be wary about where you get the information from because it is important, you know? Oops. Hold on. You can continue to talk. I have somebody at the door.
Okay. Okay, so I will continue to talk. Um, yeah, when it comes to
It's
that piece, for the listeners, uh, when it comes to that piece about, you know, all the information that we want to know about this stuff, right? I
Mhm.
feel like number
Mhm.
one, we're only going to know a very small fraction of what actually happens. Like, I feel like in the human experience, there's no way we can comprehend all of this. Like, I feel like we see
Totally.
little pieces and sparks. Also, I fully believe that I'm not going to know what happens when we die until I die. I could be completely wrong. It's like I feel like I don't know. We have a lot of theories, but they're theories. Um, it's. I'm not well, also not someone that is. I'm not someone that feels that there's only one right way for anything. I feel like there's a lot of different choices and opportunities. And I feel like I, the more I learn about this stuff and everything else in life, the more I realize that I don't know anything. There's just so much we don't know, and I'm totally okay with that. Um,
Yeah, me too. Me
there are
too.
some things that we're just not supposed to know and that we're not going to know until, you know, it's our time. Um, but it's fun to
And
think about.
it is, and I think that that's the bottom line of it. But in summation, for everything, it is important that you, as the sitter or you as the listener, put out there in your mind what your intention is or how you want to communicate to the person you want to hear from. When you're speaking to one of us mediums, allow the flow to happen. Meditation is good prior to, it helps us. If you can't, ask your person to put you through a small little visual so that you can be more relaxed and open up prior to any reading that you do. It is helpful. And you can talk to them in your own mind. you don't you don't need us to do everything for you. There's a lot that you can do with your person. Should you have questions, though, feel free to reach out to either one of us. They can reach you where, Naomi?
They can reach me at www.helnaspathwork.com. There's a place where they can submit questions on my website, and that's HELLNAS pathwork.com.
Perfect. And you can reach out to me at Pink Lion Mediumship on social media apps or csmuckmediumship at gmail.com. Want to thank you guys for joining us today. As always, we appreciate you. We wish you a really, really good week, and we are grateful for all of you. Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Have a
guys.
really good week, everyone.
Many blessings.